Yo, what's going on, guys? It's Houston Sports Talk back in the video today, and we're going to be talking about some of the most recent news for the Houston Texans. As today, it was announced by NFL insiders and Bleacher Report that the Houston Texans will most likely not be drafting a quarterback in Thursday's draft. In the first round with the second overall pick. Texans don't feel that confident with the quarterbacks that they see in the draft. They love Bryce Young, but they are pretty sure that, and I think the whole NFL is pretty sure that the Panthers will be selecting Bryce Young with the first overall pick. Texans aren't sure on Richardson or C.J. Stroud or Levis, which I don't blame them. Which on Stroud level or Richardson, I don't know what to say. I mean, I do have some worries about Stroud, which is fair. Richardson, I think he's a little bit of a development. I think he could be a good player in this league, but I still think he's a development. But the Texans are, if Bryce goes one, the Texans are most likely, and due to sources, NFL sources. I don't know if it was Scheffner or if it was Ian Rappaport, but the Texans are most likely going to be drafting Will Anderson Jr. from Alabama or Tyree Wilson from Texas Tech. Both great players, and I will say, and I think a big part of the Texans not feeling confident is a couple reasons. Number one, you got the quarterback position next year's draft, Caleb Williams, projected to be the first overall pick next season. Just won Heisman, and as a sophomore, and as an outstanding quarterback. And I view a lot of his game towards a lot of comparisons to Patrick Mahomes and what he does. He's a hell of a talent, and to be honest with you, I don't know if this Texans current team, if you add in Will Anderson at 2, you have another pick at 12, you have another pick at 33, you've added in some good wide receivers, nice tight end, Dalton Schultz. Okay, so you've added in Noah Brown, you've added in Robert Woods, you've added in Dalton Schultz, John Mechie's returning after having leukemia next season, you've added in Devin Singletary to the offense. That's what you've done on offense. You've added in Jimmy Ward, you've added in Denzel Perryman. You've done a bunch of other stuff on defense as well. And now you'd be adding even more stuff with 2, adding in Will Anderson Jr. at 2, and I'm assuming that you draft a defensive player at 12 as well. So in that case, you have a defensive player at 12, a defensive player at 2, and then probably a wide receiver at 33. So in that case, the Texans are sitting here with 2 defensive players in the top 12, with their defenses already really good with Stingley, Petrie, Christian Harris, Jonathan Grenard, Jimmy Ward, Denzel Perryman, list goes on. So I just don't know what that roster I just listed to you guys, if the Texans would be Now, I'm not saying, when I say the Texans are not going to be a horrible team, I'm not saying they're going to be a playoff team. I'm not saying they're winning the division, but I just don't know if I see a Texan team who's added in Schultz, Singletary, Noah Brown, Robert Woods, John Mechie returning from leukemia. On the defensive side, Denzel Perryman, Jimmy Ward, hopefully a full healthy season of Derek Stingley Jr., then Will Anderson or Tyrese Wilson on the defense. I don't know if I see the Texans being the worst team in the NFL next season with that roster. So in that case, the Texans would, if they were serious about getting Caleb Williams in the 2024 draft, then they're going to have to trade for it probably. And what I say to that is, you better hope someone doesn't get the first overall pick that's not you. If the first overall pick's going to you, if it's not going to you, then you better hope someone gets it that doesn't want a quarterback really bad, because if they do, they're not going to trade that pick. And if they do, you're going to have to get them a shit ton of draft picks. So that's what I think. I mean, I think the defense would be much better. Not only you have the defense improving with Perryman, Ward, and a healthy Stingley, but you also have D'Amico Ryans as the head coach now, a really nice defensive-minded head coach. And I think he would also make the defense really better too. And the offense would improve a little bit with some weapons in. Let's say if Mills is the quarterback. Even if Mills is the quarterback, I think he has some new decent weapons to throw the ball to next season. So I don't know if the Texans would be the worst team in the NFL. I think now the bright side on drafting Will Anderson or Tyree Wilson is that the defense is a monster next season. And if I know, what DeMeco wants to do, I think he wants to make that defense into what it is in San Francisco. He wants to make that defense at least top 5 to top 7. And that's what you're doing if you're drafting Will Anderson or Tyree Wilson at 2. I think it's going to be Will Anderson if it's out of the two of those guys. If it's down to Tyree Wilson and Will Anderson, I do believe it would be Will Anderson. But I am just saying, both of those names because that's what it said in the on the thing on Bleacher Report. But DeMeco with adding in Will, healthy Stingley, Petrie, signed Jimmy Ward, signed Denzel Perryman, Jonathan Grenard, list goes on of decent defensive players, and then DeMeco is the head coach, and basically, runs the defense. I don't know. I think the defense would be pretty solid. It's not top 5. It's not top 7. It's not. I don't even think it is top 10. Maybe top 15, top 12 defense possibly, but just depending on how Will Anderson does in his rookie year. But I think the defense is improving, and I think that's what DeMeco Ryans wants to do with the defense, and that's a big reason why they're probably not going to draft a quarterback at 2, and they're going to draft the defensive end, whether it's Will Anderson or it's Tyree Wilson. And not only is it, DeMeco's temptation to, I think I said that right, he's very tempted to get a defensive end at 2. Not only is it that, but also the trust of drafting a quarterback at 2 that's not named Bryce Young. CJ, there are some, potential flaws in his game that could, make him not that great of an NFL quarterback. I'm not saying he's going to be a bad NFL quarterback. I'm just saying there are some things of CJ Stroud's game that you have to worry about. And there you go. That's one thing. Anthony Richardson, I don't know what the Texans' deal with him is about, not wanting to bring him in. I like Richardson. He's just Richardson is just one of those guys where it can, if he does really bad, it can really hurt you. So it makes sense why the Texans want to draft Will Anderson. I don't know if I'm down for it. DeMeco is a smart defensive guy, so that's here's what I would say. If DeMeco wasn't the head coach and we hired someone totally different, I would say, hell no, we should not be drafting a defensive end. But DeMeco is the head coach, and he's a smart freaking defensive coach. He's a smart defensive-minded head coach and basically runs the defense for us. I know we hired someone as the defensive coordinator position, but he's running the defense. So I don't know. It's a hard situation. As a Texans fan, it hurts to wait another season for the Texans to have a good quarterback. But if we improve the quarterback, if we improve the defense that needs to be improved highly, with Will Anderson, who's also a really good run stopper, which the Texans sucked in last year. So you improve in that. Will Anderson, defense just evolves very, very huge. And then you wait another year to get your quarterback, who I think Caleb Williams is better than every single quarterback that's entering into this draft. I think he's better than Bryce. I think he's better than CJ. He's better than Levis. I think he's better than Richardson. Obviously, he's better than Hendon Hooker. I'm just naming everybody I know in the draft that's a quarterback that's entering in this draft. So, there you go. I think the Texans will most likely draft Will Anderson, but we'll see what happens. We got a couple days left. Today's Monday. Draft's Thursday. 3 days. Using your thoughts on the draft, and the Texans draft. And that's the video. If you guys enjoyed, peace out. Go Texans.